Waking Sands, home sweet home. Why are we here again?
I believe Alisaies has a special quest for us.
Oh yeah, today we'll be revisiting the Binding Coil of Bahamut raid series. This is that raid series that came out for A Realm Reborn, right?
Yeah, there are 3 parts to this raid series. The Binding Coil, the Second Binding Coil, and the Final Binding Coil.
Well, before we join Alisaies, let's read up on Bahamut's backstory. Once upon a time in Eorzea, during the Third Astral Era, the Alligans raided Mericidia and defeated one of the first brood dragons, Bahamut. Fed by fear and vengeance and encouraged by the Ascians, Tiamat and the remaining dragons summoned a twisted image of Bahamut as an elder primal. The Ascians then taught the Alligans how to use Omega to fight Bahamut. In the match of the era, Primal Bahamut faced off against the Omega weapon. Bahamut lost, again, and this time getting himself imprisoned in a giant red Death Star named Dalamut. Bound by coils and sustained by the prayers of his kin, Bahamut's aether would fuel the Alligans' eco-friendly energy plan as they launched Dalamut into orbit, hoping to draw power from the sun. However, upon the first retrieval of this power from Dalamut, a surge of aether shot down from the prison into the Crystal Tower and sparked the 4th Umbral Calamity. Such devastation was not their intention. The ground collapsed under the tower, and with it, the Alligans and their secrets were lost to time.
From there on, the Red Moon Dalamut loomed in the sky, unknown of its true power until the 6th Astral Era, when the Garlean Empire uncovered references to a totally legit and not at all dangerous power source. Thinking the weapon could be claimed for their own conquest, Project Meteor was initiated to pull the moon down to Eorzea. On the first attempt, the entire civilization of Vajda was destroyed under a barrage of fiery explosions. On the second attempt, Dalamut exploded as it descended, revealing the Primal Bahamut during the Battle of Cartano.
Our story begins in the Waking Sands,
Pray tell.
as all good stories do. We talk with Alisaies as he attempts to explain in Old English that essentially we're awesome because we killed a bunch of primals and someone needs our help. We head off to Wineport to meet this mysterious somebody.
And who would it be but Alphino?
That's Alisaies.
That's what I said, Alisaies. Alisaies says after Dalamut fell, etheric currents went crazy and created subterranean caverns, one of which is beneath Castrum Occidens. Gaius built an entire military stronghold to hide the fact that he was studying the caverns. Anyway, Alisaies has us infiltrate the stronghold and find a path to the cavern. She wishes to know the truth of what happened to her grandfather.
Alisaies needs us to clear a path to the castrum for her.
Let's go. I've got far right.
Covering left.
Quick, to the exit.
First try. As we begin our journey into the first Binding Coil raids, we find ourselves delving deeper and deeper underground. We start by fighting various mobs as we explore the caverns. These A Realm Reborn raids feel differently than the raids designed from Heavensward on. They almost have more of a dungeon feel than a raid, and not all of the raids even have a final boss to fight. Sometimes all you do is jump around and fight adds.
The final raid of this series is Twintania. The Alligans captured Twintania from Mericidia, likely after Primal Bahamut was captured when they also took Tiamat and the other dragons. The Neuralink around its neck is actually how the Alligans controlled Twintania.
After defeating Twintania, we press on and find a contraption that Alisaies believes is used to control the saturation of aether. She activates it and the surrounding walls are transformed to reveal a giant Bahamut head. The crystal core is Bahamut's heart, and Alisaies realizes that Bahamut is actually the primal that was awakened all this time. As we're about to withdraw for now, Alisaies looks out and sees her grandfather, Louisoix. She calls out to him, and he appears to see us, but then just walks away. As we are unable to reach him, we decide to leave the first Binding Coil, finding ourselves in northern Thanalan. There are many questions unanswered, but Alisaies suggests we rest after our journey.
Our story begins, continues, in the Waking Sands.
Really? There's no Aether Shard here.
Ariane and Alizé are chillin', waiting for us to arrive. Ariane is happy we're back and watched over baby Alisais.
Alisais surmises that after Bahamut disappeared 5 years ago, he hid himself deep beneath Cartano to regenerate. Because of this, the surrounding land is healing slowly as he drains the land's aether. She also tries to convince us that her grandfather, Louisoix, is still alive as Bahamut is. Orianger puts a vibe check on Alisais, asking if she doth only thinketh of him in grief.
Back on the hunt for answers, we learn that there are 3 shards that fell from Dalamud that pierced the earth. We found one, there are 2 more. Ariane wants to notify the grand companies of this development, but Alisais doesn't want to involve Alphino, because siblings. Ariane nods, but not in agreement.
We then talk to Orianger, who tempts us to fast-click through his nonsense of a dialogue, as oft the case. Alisais recounts our journey in the first Binding Coils, and Orianger gives us some backstory into how Bahamut was imprisoned. Through the Sons of St. Conic, we have learned that the colossal devices surrounding Bahamut are hulks, and they have 2 purposes. The first is to act as binding coils, to trap Bahamut. And second, they are meant to feed him. Barely. Not allowed to truly live or die. Just be.
After some investigative work, Alisais believes they know an entry point for the second Binding Coil where we can enter. She assures us that she'll be by our side. After talking with Serpent Lieutenant Anel a couple of times, Alisais,
That's Alphino.
Alphino, shows up.
Having been informed by Orianger.
He's worried about little immature Alisais running amok in the coils, and would like us to watch over her so she can find her true purpose, as he has in his infinite maturity. And so we begin our descent into the Second Coil of Bahamut raids. There are 4 raids in this series, and the primary focus is on Nael. We start outside the entrance to the Second Coil with Alisais, and new formations we hadn't seen before appear. Alisais guesses these formations were hidden from us before because the aether is leaking from the earth and warping the air.
Upon entering, we meet Nael Dusdarnis, or rather a shade of Nael Dusdarnis, which depicts the corrupted Nael Van Darnis, not the father but the daughter, who transformed into Nael Dusdarnis when she called upon Dalamut in the 6th Astral Era. Anyway, this technically already dead White Raven chick tries to dissuade us from killing Final Fantasy's version of Medusa and getting all that sweet loot, but ultimately fails as we do just that.
As we enter the 4th raid, we come upon Nael's resting place and the final boss of the Second Coil series. In this series of cutscenes, Alisais forgets that she's just a sidekick here and tries to book smack Nael and knocks their helmet off instead, to reveal Nael's a girl?
Were you not listening to me earlier?
She then transformed into creepy dragon Nael? Ugh. Alisais says that little must have remained of Nael's essence when Bahamut took her from the brink of oblivion. Alisais understands that she's not needed here and takes a step back so we can kill Nael.
After defeating Dragon Nael, regular Lady Nael appears again as she begins to wither away. In Nael's final moments, it would seem Bahamut relinquished his control over Nael's mind, as he has no need for her anymore. Nael reflects on the irony of falling prey to Bahamut, but Alisais presses her for the truth on what happened during the calamity. Nael doesn't provide much insight except to tell us to continue on our current path. Someone unseen then pierces her with a blade of light and tells her to shut up.
We move on with Alisais to another control panel overseeing Bahamut's form regenerating. Bahamut's form is becoming more complete now as you see his wings take shape. Alisais disables the second coil and we discuss heading back to the surface to talk with Ariane. Before we can though, Louisoix appears and blasts Alisais back. Louisoix orders Alisais to abandon this quest and stop damaging the coils. She refuses and Louisoix attempts to attack her again, but we step between them to protect her. Louisoix's eyes glow red, and he says some mean stuff, making it clear he is definitely under Bahamut's thrall. Alisais is very upset and yells that her family will be avenged.
After defeating Nael, we meet Alisais in northern Thanalan. She's tired of walking beside us as we fought all the monsters, and now she would like us to travel to the Waking Sands.
Again?
To tell Urianger all that has occurred.
After talking with Urianger for a bit, Alisaies arrives and we recount our meeting with Nail. Alisaies states she is unable to find an entrance to the Final Coil and seek Urianger's help. Urianger suggests Alisaies take us to visit the fragment sites, as our presence alone oft sets events in motion. While we're distracted with that meaningless quest, Urianger states he will look for answers on his own so he can take all the credit. Alisaies thinks it's a crazy idea, but says sure, let's do that. Alisaies asks if we object, but doesn't wait for a response, and tells us to go talk to her two assistants.
We meet with both of her assistants and see that we can't enter from either fragment without a lot of digging. But then, as expected, Urianger finds a way. He wants us to travel etherically to the next fragment, although it might kill us. Alisaies is totes cool with risking our lives. It's then revealed that Alphino is helping us, and Alisaies is pissed at Urianger.
Alphino, so it was you who was helping Urianger?
Who else could it have been, dear sister? As only brothers can, Alphino tells Alisaies that she must accept his help as the realm is at stake. Alisaies is very upset, and she and Alphino have a good sibling argument as the Warrior of Light and Urianger look on awkwardly. Alisaies agrees to accept Alphino's help, but only if she can make the decisions.
We now begin the Final Coil series with 4 raids in total. There are a lot of interesting cutscenes in these raids, so let's get started. During our journey down to deactivate the Final Coil and defeat Bahamut, we find Bahamut's kin contained within tubes. We learn that their perpetual state of duress stimulates prayer to sustain Primal Bahamut.
We finally arrive at the control panel for the final Binding Coil and see Bahamut's form regenerating.
His size is staggering. I can scarce imagine how Grandfather stood against such a monstrosity.
Alisaies steps forward to disable the Final Coil, but wait!
Grandfather!
Ghost Man Louisoix stands before us.
You were foolish to disregard my warning, child.
Louisoix tells them that they're being childish, ignorant, self-righteous, and just as bad as the Elegans. Very toxic guy. He rambles some stuff about primals and his own summoning, justice, dragons. Louisoix then transforms into the Phoenix Primal and is the boss to fight for the 3rd raid.
As the twins are lamenting Louisoix's death, he appears before us again.
I am yet here, Alisaies, my dear, sweet granddaughter.
He thanks us for defeating him so he could break free from Bahamut's control. He has moments left to live and is just grateful to say goodbye to his grandchildren. Alisaies asks Louisoix the truth of what happened to him during the calamity. He recounts the story to us we know from the Battle of Carteneau, when Bahamut appeared and Louisoix attempted to call upon the powers of the 12, summoning them as a primal to contain Bahamut. As we know, the attempt failed, and he sent the adventurers away to safety in a different time while he waited to meet his end.
As he awaited his fate, he received a vision from the 12 along with their blessing and was infused with Aether, becoming the Primal Phoenix. Louisoix then released a massive burst of Aether that pushed back against Bahamut's Terraflame. He managed to break through and destroy Bahamut, or so he thought. Although Bahamut was defeated, he was not laid dormant, and in his descent he was able to bring Louisoix under his thrall.
Louisoix explains that the Fragments of Bahamut were actually searching underground since then, tunneling through rock and soil to find Bahamut's crystal core. The coils then continued their work in attempting to restore Bahamut. Louisoix implores us to stop Bahamut's regeneration. We agree, and he opens a portal for us to return to the Final Coil terminal. As he begins to wither away, Louisoix shares a heartfelt goodbye with Alphino and Alisaies. Alisaies attempts to disable the Final Coil, but Bahamut blasts the platform and Alisaies and Alphino are hurt in the explosion.
No. Is this how I honor my promise to grandfather?
Alisaies remembers some things her grandfather said and is inspired to stand up and fight again.
Bahamut, you have wreaked enough havoc.
Alisaies uses Gunbreaker LB3 to save Elfino and the Warrior of Light from the second blast.
In this place, in this moment, our purpose has become one.
The siblings then stand together as one with their special books, which combine, and the twins shout, "For the future of Eorzea!"
For the future of Eorzea!
To believe in Eorzea is to believe in nothing.
This last task is yours, Warrior of Light. You must destroy Bahamut's crystal core.
Alisaies instructs us to destroy the crystal core, where we go and fight Bahamut. After defeating Bahamut, Alisaies disables the final coil with a wave of her hand.
Science.
Alisaies and Elfino share a nice sibling moment as we leave.
That the Elder Primal is banished, to return no more. That is enough.
After pulling Bahamut's life support, we return to Urianger with the twins. Note how clean our armor is after killing Bahamut, while the twins, who did virtually nothing, are filthy. Just saying. Elfino and Urianger head off to meet with the nation's leaders to seek aid in sealing off the shards, but not before Elfino and Alisaies share a heartfelt moment about always standing together. Thanks, Elfino. I was there too.
Alisaies, on the other hand, asks us to accompany her to a cliffside overlooking one of the shards. She gives a pretty good monologue about how no matter how great the sacrifice made, life goes on. And though we may not be remembered for our actions, she is grateful. At that very moment, Alisaies became the cooler twin. Pretty embarrassing death there to Bahamut face.
I don't know what you're talking about. You had both dive markers and totally killed me.
Either way, we managed to defeat Bahamut and save the day.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. What should we do next time?
I hear there's this cute cat boy that needs our help with the Crystal Tower.
Great idea. Let's revisit the Crystal Tower Alliance Raid series. Be sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe down below.
What did you enjoy or not enjoy about the Binding Coil of Bahamut? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching!